Jungkook paced nervously in the lavish living room of Taehyung's penthouse, the city lights twinkling through the floor-to-ceiling windows. His modest upbringing clashed starkly with the grandeur around him, but Taehyung, his cold yet enigmatic billionaire boyfriend, seemed unbothered by their differences. That night, though, Taehyung's usual calm demeanor was shattered. "I want a baby, Jungkook," Taehyung declared, his deep voice cutting through the tension. He stood near the marble bar, swirling a glass of red wine. His sharp features were illuminated by the soft glow of the chandelier, making him appear even more intimidating. "I've been thinking about it for a while. I've seen so many couples, and I want that, too." Jungkook froze mid-step, his doe eyes wide. "Eh, baby," his voice cracked, disbelief coloring his tone. "Taehyung, you realize babies aren't like designer suits you can just buy, right?" Taehyung raised an elegant eyebrow, smirking. "I'm well aware of how babies are made, Jungkook." He set his glass down and closed the distance between them with confident strides. "And I want one with you." He rushed to Jungkook's face. "With me? Taehyung, I can barely keep up with your lifestyle. How am I supposed to?" "Do you love me?" Taehyung interrupted, his piercing gaze locking with Jungkook's. Jungkook swallowed hard. "Of course I do, then that's all I need," Taehyung said, his voice softening as he cupped Jungkook's cheek. His thumb traced soothing circles on the younger man's skin. "I have the resources to give our child everything they could ever need. All I need from you is your love and trust." "But," Jungkook hesitated, his insecurities surfacing. "What if I'm not good enough? What if you're perfect?" Taehyung murmured, leaning in until their foreheads touched. "You're the only person I trust to share my life and build a family with. You're more than enough, Jungkook." The sincerity in Taehyung's words melted away Jungkook's doubts. He exhaled shakily, leaning into the comforting warmth of his boyfriend's touch. "Okay," Jungkook whispered. "But you're handling the diapers." Taehyung chuckled, his rare, genuine smile lighting up his face. "Deal." As they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, Jungkook realized that with Taehyung by his side, he could face anything, even the daunting prospect of parenthood. Billionaire Part 2. The following morning, Jungkook woke to the soft rustling of fabric and the faint aroma of freshly brewed coffee. His eyes fluttered open to the sight of Taehyung perched on the edge of their massive bed, dressed in a tailored black suit that hugged his figure perfectly. "Good morning," Taehyung greeted, his voice low and smooth, like honey. He reached out to brush a stray strand of hair from Jungkook's face. "I'll let you sleep in. You'll need the energy." "For what?" Jungkook mumbled groggily, sitting up and pulling the blanket around him. Taehyung smirked, a knowing glint in his eye. "We're meeting with a lawyer today to discuss the logistics of starting a family. And after that, I've arranged for us to meet a few specialists." Jungkook blinked at him in disbelief. "You already planned everything, of course," Taehyung replied casually. "I don't waste time when I want something." A mixture of admiration and apprehension swirled in Jungkook's chest. "You're really serious about this, aren't you?" Taehyung leaned down, his lips brushing against Jungkook's in a tender. "I've never been more serious about anything in my life." Despite the warmth blooming in his chest, Jungkook couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. "Taehyung, this is huge. A baby changes everything. What if I mess up?" Taehyung's expression softened as he sat beside him, taking Jungkook's hand in his. "You won't. And even if we make mistakes, we'll face them together. You've already made me a better person." Jungkook. I want to see what kind of amazing parent you'll become. The sincerity in Taehyung's voice eased some of Jungkook's anxiety. He nodded slowly, squeezing Taehyung's hand. Okay. Let's do this. Hours later, they found themselves seated in a sleek, minimalist office. A woman in a sharp blazer explained the legalities of adoption and surrogacy, while Taehyung listened intently. Jungkook, meanwhile, struggled to keep up with the barrage of terms and processes. After the meeting, Taehyung guided him into the car, his hand resting reassuringly on Jungkook's knee. You're quiet, he observed as the city blurred past them. I'm just processing, Jungkook admitted. It feels so real now. It is real, Taehyung said, his tone resolute. And it'll be worth it. Later that night, back in the comfort of their penthouse, Jungkook found himself nestled against Taehyung on the couch. The billionaire held him close, his fingers idly tracing patterns on Jungkook's arm. You know, Taehyung murmured, his voice tinged with vulnerability, I've always been afraid of losing everything I've built. But with you, I realize there's more to life than power and wealth. I want us to create something together that no one can ever take away. Jungkook tilted his head up, his heart swelling. You're not as cold as you pretend to be, you know that. Taehyung chuckled softly, pressing a kiss on Jungkook's temple. Only for you. As the night deepened, they stayed wrapped in each other's warmth, dreams of their future starting to take shape. Months had passed, and the once abstract idea of starting a family was now a tangible reality. Taehyung and Jungkook had chosen a surrogacy route, their combined determination making the process seamless. Taehyung's connections ensured they had access to the best doctors and specialists, while Jungkook immersed himself in learning everything he could about parenthood. The night, however, was special. Jungkook paced nervously in the nursery they had prepared, the pastel-colored walls and soft lighting creating a serene atmosphere. A crib stood proudly in the center, surrounded by stuffed animals and tiny clothes meticulously chosen by Taehyung, who had surprised Jungkook with his hidden enthusiasm for baby shopping. The door creaked open, and Taehyung stepped in, carrying a bundle wrapped in a soft blanket. His usually stoic face was alight with a mix of awe and tenderness as he approached Jungkook. Meet our son, Taehyung whispered, his voice uncharacteristically shaky. Jungkook's breath hitched as he looked down at the tiny face peeking out from the blanket. A wave of emotions crashed over him, joy, fear, love, all blending into something indescribably beautiful. He's perfect, Jungkook choked out, tears streaming down his face. Taehyung smiled softly, stepping closer to place the baby in Jungkook's arms. Just like you, he murmured. Jungkook held their son carefully, his heart swelling as the baby let out a small coo. Taehyung, this is everything I never knew I needed. Taehyung wrapped an arm around Jungkook, pulling him close as they gazed down at their child. You gave me this, Jungkook. You gave me a reason to believe in something greater than myself. They stood there in silence for a while, the weight of the moment sinking in. The cold, untouchable billionaire was no longer the man Taehyung recognized himself to be. And Jungkook, once insecure about his place in Taehyung's world, now felt the depth of his worth in every shared glance, every whispered word of love. I promise, Taehyung said, his voice steady with conviction, to protect both of you with everything I have. I'll never let anything come between us. Jungkook leaned into Taehyung, his own resolve strengthening. And I promise to love you both with everything I am. As their son shifted in Jungkook's arms, letting out a tiny yawn, The couple shared a look filled with unspoken promises. Their journey hadn't been easy, but in this moment, surrounded by love and hope, they knew they had everything they needed. The penthouse no longer felt like a symbol of isolation and power. It was now a home, filled with warmth, laughter, and the start of a beautiful new chapter.